In this video, we're going to be unboxing, unpackaging this cheap mold that I bought from Amazon. And you know what? It's so unboxed already. Let's just finish the job. There we go. So we're going to be using this mold. It's going to be making a small rectangular planter. Okay. Interesting. It comes with some tiny little hot glue gun sticks and some sticky pads or feet. As it's come here fully together, I can see if I just poured mortar in here. Nice try. If I just poured the mortar in here, we're good to go. So that's what it's going to do there, is we're going to take that thing out once it's set, and that's going to enable me to take these, look at that hardware, that quality hardware, plastic bolts and nuts, take that apart, and then we can split this flange apart and then just peel out the silicone inside here. It actually is a pretty nifty little setup here, considering it was a couple of dollars. I can't remember what I paid. There's no way I paid as much as $20 for this. But yeah, it's pretty much ready to go. It's a little bit of debris down in there. I got to make sure that it's nice and clean down on the inside, because of course that's our finished edge I'm looking at. Good, good. Okay, let's just set that aside for 1 second. That's actually pretty neat. It's going to work really well. Not going to use any steel or armature or anything like that. It's about ½ inch in thickness on all sides. I like that. It's going to be neat. So I'm not going to be using a standard, cement and sand mixture for this. There's nothing wrong with doing so. I just want more vivid coloration. So I'm going to set the standards aside here. And in this case, we're going to be using white cement and white silica sand, or it's more of a salt and pepper. There's some red in there as well when you look really closely, but primarily white sand. So the reason I'm doing this is a few reasons. One, I have this ancient bag of white Portland cement around that I have to use up. It's just been around way too long, and one of the benefits of using this is it's going to allow me to do more vivid colorations. Like, that's what everybody wants. Somebody wants like gray concrete or white concrete at best. Really, you want to be able to add like fun and different colors and stuff like that, and using white cement and white sand really opens the door for doing a lot of, there's so many different things, integral colors and paints and iron oxides and different stuff, but it's all hinging on, based on using white Portland cement. You know what a lot of people do? A lot of people use Cementall. It's a really nifty product you can buy. It's a non-shrink grout product, and it's almost all concrete and cement shrinks as it cures, and non-shrink grout doesn't, as you might imagine. And as a result, it's very, very forgiving for things like little molds, like making a little mold like this. I would normally expect to have problems with honeycombing or voids or air pockets, and using Cementall all but solves those problems for you, unless you are just completely negligent with your technical process. You're probably going to have success if you're using Cementall. The cost is the cost. It's very expensive stuff, and I don't use that for those reasons. And in this video, I'm going to be using something that is literally garbage. Like, this is a 2 to 3 year old open bag of white Portland cement. It's been open for 2 to 3 years. Like, it's been closed, but ultimately this bag has been open. I'm not even sure if this stuff will work. Like, it might actuate, it might not. It's pretty crummy in there, but we're going to give it a try, and I'm going to try to get results as good or better as the most expensive stuff, Cementall, using this leftover garbage, most likely not even going to work, white cement, and then white sand together. And a little bit of a, technical process. We'll use a slurry and see if that doesn't help things to make a little bit, of a void-free surface. And then just to add on to that, we'll spend a little bit of time on a vibration table just to help release all that trapped air. So let's just get started here. So we got this guy. This needs only one thing to me. Okay, I'm just going to spray this and then vacate the area for a minute. Okay, here we are back. Put that guy together so he's ready to go. So that's actually just a display one. We'll set that aside. As is this. Okay. This and this. So the first thing I need to do is I need to make a slurry. It's just white cement and water. That's it. It's a little bit too thin. Just trying to show you how it's going here in the cup. Just a little more. Pretty happy with that. All right, so the cement being so old, it's a little bit clumpy in there. It just needs a second to sit here in the water, and it should be good to go. So we'll set that aside for now. Next, we're going to make the actual mix itself, and I'm going to be using 2 parts sand to 1 part cement. So got some sand there. So again, this is clumpy exclusively because this is just old cement, but I don't think it's actually actuated yet. I think it's just old and it just needs a minute here. So before I add the aggregates, before I add the sand, I'm just going to let this sit for a second as a liquidy slurry. It's getting better. It's not perfect. But I'm kind of proving a point by using this. Really, you could throw it out and you'd be well within your rights to do so. But I'm not gonna. Here's what I've achieved. This is an approximately 2 parts sand to 1 part cement mix. It's a little bit on the wet side right now, but I know that this is kind of a thicker grain sand, number 20 graded, that it absorbs the moisture. It takes a second for it to absorb it. So when I get back to that, not 5 minutes later, it's already going to be like fairly stiffened up. Okay, so I have to remember to pick this up as a unit here. Looks pretty good to go. Got my slurry here. So here's how the slurry works. Okay, so we slurried the inside, we knocked out the extra. Now it's very important, I don't want this to dry. I don't want that slurry to dry in there before I get around to adding this product here. Before I go too far. So what I have here, which is not working in the spray bottle, so I'm just going to go ahead and pour very small amounts in, is 2 to 3 parts water, 1 part latex paint. Just want to add a little bit of color here. All right, let's vibrate this, but not too much, if I can. All right, I'm on an angle, I forgot about that. Just drying up a little bit of that water there. Well, I can see with this mold here that it's a little bit flared out in the middle from the weight of the mud. Let's see if we can't just shore that up a little. Okay, good enough. Gonna leave it there. Too wet of the mix. It'll be not as strong as it could be, as it should be, but I think it'll still be good here. And we'll just let this set up 24 hours, then we'll demold it, see how it turned out, see how the finish looks. Here we are back 2 days later, not the next day. I was planning on doing this the next day, got busy, didn't have the time. It was ready to go, like with my little test piece. I always like to keep a test piece of my mix just to kind of evaluate how strong is this stuff. You know, let me show you kind of that thin edge. Regard the thin edge. I would call that less than 3/8 of an inch. It's pretty strong. That's appreciably strong. Remember, this is not old either. It's not nowhere near full strength. So I would call that normal. That's a normal strength for 48 hours here. Definitely time that I should, remove the vise here and demold this. There's a sweet spot for demolding where you get the best quality for the piece that you're casting, but also it's still pretty easy to remove it from the mold. If you just leave it forever in the mold, it's actually really hard to demold it because, on the microscopic scale, you have the mold itself clinging to the mortar, the piece that you've made, and we're breaking them away from each other. And when the piece is still relatively weak, it breaks away a little bit easier. When it's too green or too fresh, it breaks away too easy and mars the surface. We want it to keep its surface profile intact, but release easily. And then on the other end of that is it's very strong, and it just, even on the small amounts which we're breaking away, it's difficult to break it away. So speaking of which, let's go ahead and try demolding this. I didn't really go out of my way to try to keep this mold clean at all, because it's a polyethylene plastic. Nothing really sticks to it. Easy to just wipe this stuff off. If you wanted to be more careful, you definitely could be a damp sponge is pretty much your best friend. Even without using the trowel, it just wipes right off with your finger. So it demolds in two ways here. We've got the inside, which pops out, and then we've got this outside part, which I might as well go ahead and take these plastic nut and bolts off. Plastic? Why plastic? It makes no sense to me. Well, if you have to end up replacing those because they fail, so be it. What was the cost difference from the plastic hardware to, I don't know, a piece of hardware? Alas, this thing was really cheap. Shouldn't complain. Okay, so it is supposed to demold from the bottom first, based on what I'm seeing here. I guess that's what these little knobbies are for. Give them a press. Yeah, it's happening. There we go. Demolding of any concrete thing is, a little bit challenging, and that was pretty clean. That was pretty easy, so take that bad boy apart. Now, often the best method here is just break it away the whole way around. Just manually kind of hoping for a nice finish on this. Clean that up in just a second. The tiny amount of paint I put in was just swallowed almost entirely by the white cement. The cement itself is such a strong dye, such a strong pigment, gray or white, regardless. Whatever it is, it's very strong, and you all but can't see that coloration. Maybe when it's wet, you might see it. However, this is a pretty nice cast. It's fairly free of defects in terms of the honeycombing and the little voids and bubbles and stuff like that, which are very easy to get. And you know, I didn't really vibrate this for very long. There was a lot of water raised on the surface. I forgot to mention to you, the last time you saw it was a little bit watery. At some point after it reabsorbed that water, I took a damp sponge and just sponged the surface into what you see here. I forgot to mention that before I got started. I did that. You didn't see it. This is a pretty good cast. Like, check it out. I'm really happy with it. I can't wait to do another one, and I'm gonna get wacky with the colors. But remember, this wasn't Cementall. Couple of little defects there. I mean, I'm happy with it. I feel like you'd be happy with it too if you made this thing and you didn't use a Cementall product. You're just making your own mixed design, and it's a very affordable mixed design. A little bit, I bet you another 10 seconds on the vibration table would have done it. That's really good. Actually, quite like that. So the product itself seems very durable. As I had to demold it there, you know, turn it inside out, it seems thick enough to handle that a bunch of times, no problem. As you can see, it all but cleans itself here. There we go. It's like a cake tin for banana bread or something. Make half an effort here to clean this thing up. I really didn't when I put it together. I could have been cleaner about that. I knew that. For a really cheap, you just buy it on Amazon. You saw how quick and easy that was. I made it, I molded it, or casted a piece. It worked great. I was able to demold it. I even didn't demold it at the ideal time of 24 hours. I had to demold this after 48 hours, and it was no problem at all. Really easy. I did use a mold release, which really you should be using it. Even if you didn't, it probably demolded, but you're not going to get as much longevity out of the mold. And honestly, I like it. Like, I mean, the only thing I missed the mark in was the coloring. I should have gone more aggressive, maybe done coloring with the slurry itself. That's a really good way to do it. If you want to add a lot of colors, you can just add the color to the slurry, and it also allows you to make a little bit more dramatic of a color. But you'll always get like a marbled effect if the main mix that you're adding is not as dark as the slurry in terms of the coloration. But I think that guy's great. Looks great. I can't wait to make more of these things. I recommend you pick one of these up if you're interested in doing concrete as a hobby, making little casts and stuff like that. Mold making is challenging. Buying molds is expensive. This is limited in terms of there's only a couple sizes and shapes and stuff like that, but it works really well. And for the very small amount of money that I spent on that, you easily would recoup that just making them and selling them. And I suspect that as cheap as this thing is made, even with this hardware being made out of plastic here, the actual skin of the mold itself, which I think is silicone, seems to be fairly high quality and a little thicker than I thought it would be for a probably cheap as you can make it product. It's actually pretty good. I bet you'd get dozens and dozens of casts out of this before you're even really worried about you know, a rip or something like that. So for the value, I don't think it really can be beat. I hope you found this information helpful. If you did, please like and subscribe. You'll learn a ton about how to work with concrete if you subscribe to this YouTube channel. I'll see you soon.